Hello, my friends. Welcome back for another episode of Iwouldcampthat. I'm just on a haul road right now. Rita and I camped here the other night. Tried to make a video, but just really wasn't feeling up to it. For those of you that saw my last video I put up a while ago and follow some of our socials like Facebook, you'll know that my little sister passed away unexpectedly. So I stepped back, took a bit of a break just to kind of deal with that and work through it. I've had a few times I've gone out in the truck and said, tonight's the night I'm going to make a video. We'll get back on the saddle. And my heart just really wasn't in it. That's okay. I mean, everybody works through things differently, good days and bad days. But I'm out here tonight. It's just me, and I've got Sunny as well. So you'll be seeing a Sunny appearance. I know some people have been like, "Oh, where's Sunny? We haven't seen Sunny. Where is she? How's she doing?" So she hasn't been out very much. So she's kind of back into like that. What's going on? Why am I out here? Why aren't we at home where we have heat and electricity and the couch and all that stuff? But once I get her loaded into the back, she'll she does like it in the back. Once we get in the back, she'll be fine. Spring is slowly making its way into Alberta. The snow is slowly melting. We're getting into the muck phase. As you can see, the truck's a little dirty. I just went through like the puddle of all puddles, so I got a bunch of muck splat on the side there. And the back's looking pretty dirty too, but that's nothing new. So what I'd like to do with this video, like I said, Sunny hasn't been out much, so I want to kind of keep the night as low stimulus as possible for her. And like I said, I'm still kind of working through some things. So I just want to go through the rig and just show you folks just a few different things we've been doing. One of my kind of self-care strategies as I work through everything has been just going through, doing some spring cleaning, some organizing, changing up some things that could be better. Like I say, I've said in a lot of my videos, vehicle camping, any kind of camping really, is a ton of trial and error. You'll have some ideas and you're like, I'm going to store my stuff this way, or I'm going to do this and this, it's going to be great. And then you get out and do it in the field and you're like, I think we could change this or improve on this, or maybe just scrap this entirely. So not any major changes, but let's go in and I'll kind of show you what we've been doing. So up in the passenger seat, you'll notice that Sunny has a new carrier. We still have her spaceship backpack, but she's getting a little big for it. And with this one here, it's a lot more spacious. She can see out the sides. We've got a nice little blanket nest for her. She really likes to burrow. Say hi to YouTube, Sunny. We've had a few people asking where you are. Yeah, once we get her into the back, she'll be right as rain. She likes it back there, but like I said, she hasn't been out in a little while. Shout out to our good friend Lewis for giving this to us. This actually belonged to his old cat, but I guess his old cat really had no interest in using it, so he gave it over to us. So we will definitely make good use of it on our adventures. So in the rear passenger space, we've got this little garbage receptacle thing that Rita picked up. Walmart purchase or something, Canadian Tire maybe. So with this guy, he's got these little like handles here, and on the actual packaging, they look a lot bigger than they actually are. Like they were depicting this being like over top of the headrest and wrapping around, and there's no way these things are even close to being big enough. So what I did was I just got a little carabiner clip, and since we really never adjust these or raise them at all, we just put it in there and it just clips right there. And right now we've got an empty coffee cup and the packaging that the carabiner clip we're using came on. So just if we're on a longer trip, easily empty this out at a gas station. We'll try to keep dry stuff in there, nothing that's going to be like wet or smelly or gross. But yeah, it's a nice little addition. A lot of times we'll just have like a garbage bag in the foot space of the passenger seat, especially if I'm on solo camping trips. But it's nice to know we have this as an option. I'll also be putting the potable water tank back in here pretty quick. Still working on kind of organizing back here. Like I said, we've been kind of doing like some spring cleaning and organizing. So it does look like a bit of a disaster back here, but I mean, hey, it's vehicle camping. It's always going to look like a bit of a disaster. I do take the potable water tank out for winter time. There's just no point having it in here in a Canadian winter. But as the nights start to warm up, I'm expecting I'll probably have it back in here within a week or so. And another cool little thing I got, I actually got this last summer from a Parks Canada employee. They were handing these out. It's like a little rubber, like it's got like a hard little rim in there. It's just like a rubberized kind of bag, just so you can fill it up with water and put your fires out. So hey, it was free. You know, fire safety and all that, why not? Then I've got a nice little collection of reusable shopping bags. Still got my winter snow brush here too. I don't really take it out even in the summertime. It kind of acts like a nice little brace behind the fridge. We do have a bracer like this one here in place so that the fridge doesn't really move, but just in case we know we're hitting a lot of bumps and it is rocking, kind of acts like a little bit of a brace behind the fridge. And then down here, I think I've shown this in the past, but I'm still keeping some of my 1-pounders down here. I don't keep these in here in the dead of winter just because they'll freeze and that's not good for them. And I do like to keep this wool blanket over top just to keep the sun off of them. Just nice to know that they're there. We need to get the stove going or anything like that. So up in the front here, we've got our nets between the two seats. We put these up around the time that we started our channel, and these are wonderful to have. We've got the little one in the center, and then we've got the big one back here, which was meant to be like a ceiling net, but unfortunately the truck just doesn't, our ceiling in the cab of our truck just isn't really set up well enough for this, so we ended up just doing like a side-to-side thing, just adapted to the circumstances. Now the tough thing with these nets, they're wonderful, but it can, again, it can be really easy, like the back seat covers, even worse with the nets, it can be really easy to throw things in here and then they just get buried and you forget about them. So I've been trying to be good about going through these and just thinking about what would be best to put in here. So one issue that we have, and I'm sure, you know, any of you running a fridge or running a Jackery or their battery bank or other kinds of electronics, drone stuff, whatever, cords can move around, get lost, end up under the seats, or end up getting pinched between the seat and the cup holders or whatever. Lots of different possibilities. So what I've done is I've just kind of organized. I know it doesn't look organized, but it makes sense to me. I've got like our Jackery cable here, the fridge cable, which is plugged into the fridge, just kind of sinks into here, because these things they're kind of cheap little 12-volt cables. They can break quite easily. We've gone through a couple of them already. And then if that one breaks or stops working, I've got a spare one here. Down underneath that mess of cables, I've got an inverter down there. I haven't had the best relationship with inverters. I've gone through a few that have been pretty garbage, but that yellow and black one I got there is pretty good. And as for the big net, I don't have a lot packed in there right now. Don't have much of anything packed in there. That's going to be more for, I think, longer trips. So that's going to be more like extra clothes, towels, maybe like swimming related stuff if we're going someplace and plan to be in the water, just wherever the need might arise for extra things. But it is nice to have. I'm just trying to be better about making sure that we actually utilize our storage space. Like I said before, it's good to keep some space open for the bigger trips when we got to take more gear that we otherwise normally wouldn't take if we're just going out for 1 or 2 nights. But just trying to make good use of that storage space. Behind the driver's seat, not too much has changed here. I've got some spare windshield washer fluid, always a good thing to have, especially in the winter and spring when you're using it constantly and always running out. Still keeping emergency food down here. As you can see, all I've got is like some red lentil pasta. With the news that I'm type 2 diabetic, basically all the stuff I had down here, like Fruit Loops cereal and like instant potatoes and stuff, a lot of that stuff had to come out. So I went to Canadian Tire and got this basket here. I'm gonna be packing some other stuff in here just to try and keep this in nice and tight. So I will be filling this up with more stuff, but basically the idea is, yeah, just weigh this down with some other emergency food, maybe some other essentials, and then just pack some other things in here. Our bench system works best when we have it packed nice and tight. And then over in the middle here, kind of a head scratcher. It's a little harder to reach. So all I've got down there right now is my personal flotation device, life jacket. That middle space under the bench is probably going to be more for stuff that is nice to have for specific circumstances, like life jacket. You know, that's only useful to me if I'm planning to actually end up in the water or go floating down the river or whatever. Just stuff that we don't readily need right away. But yeah, I'm just going to try to pack some more things under there. Just kind of work in progress. Always a work in progress for getting that packed up nice and tight and making sure it's good for our needs. I love that little basket though. Like, they're just a nice cheap little buy at the hardware store. And we've actually got some different sized ones in the back that I'm going to show you as well. We are ready for a camp out. So these sliders have shown up in a number of our videos. Absolutely love them. One thing we've done a little late for this past winter, we actually went ahead and put some moleskin on these, but the moleskin wasn't holding. They're metal handles. And we went ahead and layered it with some T-Rex duct tape. With Canadian winters, touching these in the extreme cold, sometimes you forget and you go, oh, ow, that hurts. It's so cold, it burns. So we just put these on just as kind of a grabbing point for the sliders. We did it on both. So hopefully that'll help save our poor hands a little bit. I mean, to be fair, we should be wearing gloves, but even sometimes with gloves on, you still feel it a little bit. So going back to storage and making sure that we're actually using our storage space effectively, one thing that's been a priority to me is making sure that these sliding panels are actually being utilized to their full potential. So a lot of times with the sliders, we've had a lot of open space that just hasn't been getting used. So with this panel here, this is usually like our food kitchen related one. So we've got our stove back there, got a little bit more room for something back there too. And then we've got our kitchen box, which has been serving us quite well. And then this is just like some extra like seasonings and stuff for cooking. And we can probably stuff a couple other little things in there too. And we got a little bit of space there. All right, and then we've got this slider over here. So now that it's starting to warm up a little bit more, we've got some canned food loaded up in here, which I've got a lid on there, so none of that ends up finding its way out of the tote. We've got our camp chairs, and this bag here has a long extension cord for those times when we're at a place where we might be able to tap into some free power, like if we're at a friend's place or a powered campsite or whatever the case may be. So as you can see, full slider, making good use of that. Oh, hold on, let's try that again. This tote with the soup barely fits, so there we go. Trial and error, perfect example. Might have to look into something that's maybe like ½ an inch to an inch shorter. And in one of our recent videos, I mentioned that we're using this as kind of a secondary kitchen box, so that's been fantastic. Absolutely love that change. And then we've cleared this up. Haven't really put a lot into the ammunition box yet. Right now we've got a first aid kit in there and some like all-purpose wipes in there, plus a tablecloth. Still kind of figuring out what all I want to put in there. I definitely want to make sure that's packed tight so nothing's banging around. So on the topic of baskets from the hardware store, we've got the same kind of baskets that we have underneath the fridge behind the driver's seat, different size, and we've just got them between the bed and the box of the truck. These are really nice because you can just keep some things there that you want to be able to reach when you're waking up in the morning. Just have them on hand. This little guy right here, right now I'm just keeping some spare batteries in him. He's very visible and just very eye-catching. You get a lot of gear where it's black on black and it can be really easy to lose stuff, especially in the dark. An added bonus to having these baskets as well too is our bed likes to move and like jump over the toolbox. So having these in here kind of, I mean, as you can see, they're just cheap little baskets. I don't care if they really get squished, but they kind of act as like a bracer so that the bed's not moving so much, which is fantastic. And then on Rita's side of the bed, got the same thing. These ones have a little more wiggle room. I think the bed's more smushed onto my side than it is on Rita's right now. But yeah, just acting as bracers. All I've got in there right now is a knife, but we can add some other things there as well. And another cool change, Rita got us these pillowcases, these swanky, like leopard zebra print pillowcases with a kind of a silky feel to them, so we can feel classy while we're out bombing around and boondocking in the truck. And I've got my memory foam pillow here as well too. Memory foam, you got to be really careful in the winter because it will freeze and become like hard as a brick, but it's getting warm enough now, and with my body heat and everything tonight, it'll serve our needs just fine. Okay, got a nice little charging station set up over there with the Jackery, and I've got the 12-volt blanket plugged in. That's going to be more for Sunny's benefit, should she choose to use it. Okay, Sunny, I know we've got some loud noises outside, but let's get you out of your little carrier here. Hey, baby, how's it going? It's nice that you've got that little side screen. You can look out the window from the safety of your carrier. You couldn't do that in your little spaceship backpack. Oh, she's poking her head out. Yeah, she really likes it back here in the sleep space, so she knows what's up. Yeah, I got the 12-volt blanket plugged in for you, baby. It's nice and should be nice and warm for you. Nope, she wants her big giant blanket. Yeah, there she goes. She likes the obnoxiously giant California King blanket. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and unclip her leash as well too, just so she's got a little more freedom of movement. There we go. The giant red blanket we use for winter camping is obnoxiously huge. Rita and I have already talked about possibly like Rita cutting it down to size and resizing it just so it's not so big. It's a wonderful blanket for winter camping. Sunny loves it. Like I literally heated up a nice 12-volt blanket for her, and she's like, nope, I want this big red one. That's what I like. It's what I want. So fair enough. Tonight's going to be pretty low key. Honestly, once the camera's off, just going to hang out with Sunny. That's what she likes, is just sitting back here, relaxing, probably just going to read or watch a movie. I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who's reached out, who's left, comments of support and everything with all of the stuff that's been going on. Really appreciate you folks. My sister was 33, so young. Like, I'm 36. It's just a few years apart. 1989 baby. And she would have been, I'm recording this video beginning of April. Like, she would have been, her birthday's April 27th. She would have been 34 this month. It's been pretty awful and very surprising news. Very unexpected. And just a lot of mixed emotions and processing things. When I got the news, I was working a night shift. It was like 30 minutes into my shift when I got the call from my mom. Immediately told my supervisor, like, this happened, I gotta go. That was back in like late February, and I haven't been back to work since. Took some bereavement leave. I'd already, because we have at our job, we have what's called stat time, and I'd already booked off some time in time in March, because our stat time, like our stat bank time, flips at the end of March. So if you don't use it, you lose it. You get paid for it, but you get taxed on it. So I just like using it so we can go out and go on adventures and stuff. So between the bereavement time and the stat time, had a bunch of time off. But just, yeah, given what happened with my sister, some of the, like, just having, like, going down there, like, cleaning her place out was really hard and emotional, and seeing how it's affected, like, my parents and other relatives and her friends. Beautiful funeral service in Calgary. where she lived. Like it just, things went as smooth as they could given the circumstances, but yeah, just a lot of mixed emotions. And there's other stuff too that I don't really want to get into, but just a lot of things that happened in a close proximity of time. So I'm one of those people, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of people, like when you're going through something stressful or a loss, like a lot of people bury themselves in work. Like, there's comfort in your routine, but I think a lot of people just want to keep busy. And there's nothing wrong with keeping busy. But I think when you're doing it for the purpose of just avoiding what you need to feel, the grieving process, all that stuff, I used to be really bad for that. Like if I went through something monumentally stressful in my life, I used to be a full-on workaholic. I remember years ago, I had 3 jobs. I had a full-time job and 2 part-time casual jobs. And there was a point in my life where I needed to have the extra money coming in, but then I got to a point where I was stable and I just kept doing it. I was addicted. And I had a lot of things I was dealing with at the time. And knowing that I'm prone to that, I wanted to make sure that I didn't just bury myself in work. I like my job. I like what I do. I work with some amazing people. We do amazing things. And I'm really thankful to be one of those people that has a job that I look forward to going to. And the temptation to just jump right back in was huge. But just knowing that I've got some things I need to work through, I took some stress leave, mental health leave. And I'm thankful to work for an organization that encourages that and provides that for us, because like I've worked for companies that if you called in with the flu and they couldn't manage their staffing, they'd be like, how dare you? We're short staffed. Well, I'm at home puking. I don't know what to tell you, right? One of the challenging things as well, my sister and I, we did not have the best relationship at all. I mean, families are messy families, no family's perfect. As an adult, like when we were younger, it was kind of like, I don't like you, I hate you, like very strong words that, kids, adolescents say to each other. In adulthood, like we'd see each other at holidays and the odd time, that she was visiting or whatever, because for the longest time, my parents lived in Lethbridge. I lived in Lethbridge. I did my 4 years of schooling in Lethbridge, and I lived in Lethbridge for about 12 years. I met Rita there. And, had a good life down there for a season. And, everything has a season, right? And now we're up in northern Alberta. But, yeah, I don't know, like, as an adult, I would try to leave the door open, and I'm not trying to dishonor my sister's memory. I'm just being honest about where we were at. I tried to leave the door open for us to have a relationship. I'd see her at Christmas or Easter, and I'd be like, oh, hey, how's life? How are things going? And just didn't really seem too open to it. So I was kind of at the point of, if you're ever ready to have a relationship with me, like we're not kids anymore, we're both adults. I'd like to think we both matured. So if you're ever ready to take that leap with me, then yeah, we'll go there. Fortunately, because my sister moved around quite a bit. Like she lived in Ontario, she lived in BC, and then she came back to Calgary. From what I understand, she had some things just not work out when she was living in BC. I don't recall all the details, but she ended up coming to Calgary to be closer to family, had an apartment, which I'd helped my folks clean that out. And yeah, that was hard. And my sister was working through some things and needed some support from my parents and, kind of in a rebuilding phase of what's next in my life. And one thing I'm happy to say is my sister just texted me out of the blue the one day and said, I know we haven't had the best relationship, but I'd really like it if we could, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but I'd really like it if, we could talk again. And at this point I just finished like a big training thing for work, which was like a huge anxiety for me last year. Basically something I had to get done to keep my job. It was a huge stress for a lot of us. And, she's like, hey, like, congratulations. I heard about your thing. I'm so proud of you. You're doing really great things. And these were all things that like I'd never heard from my sister before. And I was like, like obviously being cautious, but I was just like, yeah, okay. If you want to talk again, because I always said, if you want to talk again, let's talk. So over the last few months before she died, we were talking. Like it was her instigating the first few text messages. It was pretty well all over text message, but she was the one instigating because I had to, like, the first few times she texted me, I was like, who is that? Oh, right. We're talking again. Because it'd just been so long since we'd really, one of us had gone out of the way to talk to the other. So, she was texting me and kind of opening up to me about, just like things going on in her life, some of her hopes for the future, mom and dad and how they're doing. One thing that she talked to me at length about was she actually got a cat, this big ginger chonker of a cat named Charlie, and she would send me pictures and videos. And I was like, well, if this, this is cool. She's got, like a cat, she's got a companion, and, she loved this cat to pieces. I think more than half of the text messages she sent me were about Charlie and like just goofy little pictures and videos and such. Big cat, big cat. And, she, as we were texting, I thought, well, hey, if things continue to go good with us, maybe I'll get to visit her and actually see this cat. Well, with what happened, Rita and I have actually taken Charlie. He's at our place, and so I think he's about 9 months old. He's been adjusting well. I mean, he's full of energy. He can be a little bit of a rascal. He's got some behavioral issues that we're trying to train out of him. And, he's figuring it out as he goes. But, yeah, I remember distinctly saying when she was still alive, I hope I get to meet this cat someday. And now he lives with us. So, but it's, and I've had some people ask, they're like, well, isn't that hard? I mean, that was your sister's cat. Don't you look at him and get kind of sad because he reminds you of your sister? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. But my sister loved that cat to pieces. And I look at it as, I look at him as that final gift, like something that my sister passed on to me. Like this is what's so precious to me. Like, please take care of him for me. And that's something we have full intention of doing. With the fact that we just had the few months, I could be negative. I could be pessimistic, and I could be like, all we got were those few months and all that time that we could have had a relationship, could beat myself up, beat her up, not literally, but just, you know what I mean? Like, just, I could focus on that, but honestly, like, I'm really glad we had that few months to talk. I'm really proud of her, and I respect her for taking that step. I mean, it was only a few months, but imagine how horrible it would feel if we never got to that point where we were talking again, and then having to deal with, the what could have been. I mean, I still kind of have to deal with that a bit, but at least I've got those positive memories to hold on to. The last conversation I had with my sister, she texted me, I think about a week or 2 weeks before she died. She told me she was applying for a job, and she was asking me for interview tips. And I was like, yeah, like this and this. And if you need help prepping for an interview, let me know, and happy to help. And pretty good at job interviews. So, I routinely tend to help people prep for interviews. So yeah, that was the last conversation we ever had. I'm working through things. The time off from work has helped. The first week or two back home were really rough. Like, I didn't do much. I had days I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go camping, or I'm going to do stuff, or I'm going to do something like work on a project around the house or work on some videos or something. And I would literally just have days where I just had a heck of a time even getting off the couch or even getting out of bed. I've had a lot of dreams. I've had some nightmares. I had a really weird one. Just end off with this. I had a really weird one last night that I woke up and I was just kind of like, oh no. You know, when you wake up, and sometimes you wake up from a dream and you're like, oh, that was weird. Or like you barely remember it. But this one, I was just like, oh no. I had a dream I was back cleaning her apartment. And then like, for some reason, she was there with me, helping me clean the apartment. And you know how it is with dreams, like your mind will like confuse a whole bunch of facts, like certain things that shouldn't correlate do in the dream, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But in the dream, you might be completely oblivious to it. So like, we're cleaning this apartment and my sister's there and we're talking and we're cleaning her apartment that she died in. And I'm just like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Why are we here? What? This is her apartment. And I looked at her and I went, you died here. Wait. And then it clued into me that I'm dreaming. This isn't real. And with me, usually when I start to clue in and go, okay, the ruse is up. This is not real. This is a dream. It's my brain playing tricks on me. That's when I usually like wake up. So the dream ended with, sorry. I like went over to my sister because at this point I knew I was going to wake up. And I gave her a hug. And I hugged her really tight. And as I was advancing on her to give her a hug, she was giving me like this, what the heck is wrong with you look? And like, she didn't hug me back or anything. She kind of just went limp in my arms. And I was like, I know things weren't always the best with us, but I want you to know that I love you so much. I'm grateful for the 3 months we had, and I'll always love you. And then I woke up. And I mean, I was pretty angry about that because, you know, I woke up and I was like, cool, that's a great start to my day. But like, I told Rita about it. And, you know, Rita started tearing up too when I told her. And Rita said, you know, I'm sorry you had to go through that. But at the same time, that's really beautiful. So, sorry, I told myself I wasn't going to get emotional, but here we are. So anyways, I know that was I was kind of dreading having this talk just because I like to keep our videos to a manageable length, and it's just a very loaded conversation, but I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm just going to have a good night with Sunny and just relax back here and just enjoy being out in nature, even though we're just in some crummy pull off by a highway, but whatever. It's still nice to be in the rig. I am planning to go on a bigger trip with the time off I have. I've got all of April off. I figure if we've got the time, might as well use it. So expect some adventures in the future. Rita and I are going to try to get out for a little mini trip, and then I'll be getting out for a solo big trip. So really looking forward to seeing what adventures we get up to in the near future. Stay classy, my friends. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being patient as we kind of work through some things. And hope everybody's doing well. And I will see you folks next time.